Hello and welcome to the Absolute Gamecast. FNAF fan games have been around for many years, some as long as the series they're inspired by. And of course, with all the thousands of fan games released every day, many of them reasonably stick visually close to the source material, if not try to improve or exceed it. So when a game attempts to use a different visual style altogether, and it's done right, it can definitely help the game stand out from the others. One of the best examples is the topic of this discussion, the One Night at Flumpty series, which started back in January 28, 2015, and ended with the third game on October 31st, 2021. The series was created by Jonachrome, based on an old comic series created by him and his friends, featuring two characters, Birthday Boy Blam and the title character of this game, Flumpty Bumpty, an egg who's immune to the plot and can transcend time and space. The first game was created as an inside joke parody game that wasn't anticipated to go anywhere, but eventually grew to be so much more over the years. The series overall featured a unique art style and a few original mechanics that few games have attempted or replicated since. I'd like to get into more specific details now, but despite the fact the series is not lore-based like other FNAF games, I still recommend you play these games for yourself if you haven't, for the sake of experiencing this wacky series blind. I promise you won't regret it. One Night at Flumpty's was released January 28, 2015, and received an update along with the release of the third game, which added a hard mode and, just like the second game, changed some graphics in the office due to copyright. The story of the game is very surface level. We play as an unnamed protagonist, and by reading a newspaper article in-game, we learn that we were kidnapped by Flumpty simply because he felt like it. And now we have to survive until 6 a.m. while being hunted by Flumpty and his friends, and by the end of the game, instead of it reaching 6 a.m., we reach ham. Ooh, ham, let's go! The gameplay is also very simple, mostly borrowing mechanics from FNAF 1, with Flumpty and Blam right away, and the Red Man later in the night, appearing at the doors and requiring you to close them, and the Beaver in the bathroom. The Beaver is Foxy. Final character is Grunkfus the Clown, who will begin appearing in your office at 4 a.m. and move closer and closer each time you lift the camera, until finally jump-scaring you when you run out of uses. To me, this was a great start to the series. You get a very good feel of the tone and story this series will maintain throughout its runtime, and while it does borrow a little from FNAF 1, it doesn't feel like it overstays its welcome, and there is enough here to feel unique and understandable why it got so popular in the first place. Released April 11th, 2015, after the unexpected success of the first game, One Night at Flumpty's 2 was created as a direct follow-up to the first game, with a new location, new mostly original mechanics, and a few new characters in the form of the Owl, and my nemesis of this game, Eyesore. A huge mound of corpses of Flumpty's past victims merged together into a giant dinosaur. Despite the new location, the story is the same. Flumpty has the player from the previous game trapped in a new location, and you have to survive until 6 a.m. to finally escape. Which, of course, we don't, even after completing hard-boiled mode, the hard mode tradition that began in this game, which was later added to the first. In this game, you have a light switch in front of you that turns off your lights, which hides you from most of the monsters in the game who will come to your door, such as Flumpty, Blam, and Eyesore. This increases your exposure before killing you if it gets too high. Starting from 2 a.m., Grunkfus will become active and will have a timer on his camera that ticks down fast, and once it hits 0, he appears in your office and cranks up your exposure very fast before killing the player if the lights are not turned off. There's also the Owl, who, no pun intended, will fly through one of the two vents in your room, and you have to close the right one to get them to leave. However, you can only have one vent closed at a time, which is fine since nobody else goes through them. Completing the night allows you to reach Spam and end the game with the optional hard-boiled mode for those who are up to the challenge. Despite any Eyesore shenanigans, I enjoyed this game a lot. I don't think I've ever focused so hard on a game before in my life, and even though I didn't win my first sit-through, I felt oddly great afterwards in a way I can't really describe other than pure adrenaline. I definitely think you should check this game out if you get the chance. It's a lot of fun, and it's a great taste of what the final two games have in store now that the series found its own footing outside of being a simple parody. After a few years' break from working on the series, the conclusion to the series, One Night at Flumpty's 3, was released on Halloween 2021. In this game, you play as the same protagonist who's now trapped in a freezer and needs to keep himself warm while defending himself from Flumpty and his friends. You have a door in front of you, a vent to your side, and a furnace behind you that's used to keep your temperature up. You're also equipped with a camera system and a separate camera for taking pictures of some of the enemies to drive them away. Fight your way through the final night until you reach 6 AM, and... Wait, what? I'm so surprised. Wow. Flumpty has had enough. He kills his friends in an instant and uses the full scope of his abilities to keep you trapped here forever. This night is rightfully extremely chaotic, with multiple clones of Flumpty with various different mechanics, cameras switching around randomly, your display gets weird after about 3, and at 4 an electro swing song kicks in until you beat the night. And once you do, Flumpty opens the door and lets you out, only for you to find that the outside world is a nightmarish landscape with seas of lava and dirt. You then unlock hard-boiled mode, and after completing it, you finally reach 6 AM, and Flumpty lets you go and escape. You escape into a grassy field with bright blue skies above it, while Flumpty floats off into space and disappears forever, bringing the series to a surprisingly grounded and serious end. I really like this series because it takes the FNAF groundwork and molds it in a way that, unlike most FNAF games, doesn't take itself too seriously, which is a nice breath of fresh air. And similar to a few other games I've played on this channel, while it might not be the most serious horror game ever, it doesn't sacrifice the scare factor it has. This series might be over, but it still lives on through fanworks, and there are plenty for you to try if you want more from this series. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. Not gonna force you, do what you want. Thanks for tuning in, and that's the video. Bye.